Leonardo DiCaprio's celebrated environmental foundation is now at the center of a sprawling federal investigation that threatens to burn his entire legacy to the ground. For years, the world has seen Leo as Hollywood's foremost climate champion, a UN ambassador who uses his fame and fortune to save the planet, a man whose vanity name is synonymous with environmental activism. But a series of bombshell leaks, confidential witness testimonies, and damning financial records paint a far darker picture, one where his charity was allegedly less about saving endangered species and more about serving as a high-profile laundromat for international fugitives and their stolen fortunes. This isn't just a simple case of bad accounting or a few rogue employees. It's a complex web of cover-ups, silenced whistleblowers, and a direct, undeniable link to one of the biggest and most audacious financial crimes of the 21st century. The story everyone knows is a carefully constructed PR narrative. The reality, according to federal prosecutors, is a global conspiracy hidden in plain sight. So, what exactly did the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation do to trigger a multi-agency federal probe involving the FBI and the Department of Justice? Why, after years of whispers and rumors, is this all exploding into the public consciousness right now? And most importantly, how could this scandal permanently shatter DiCaprio's meticulously crafted reputation as a global activist, potentially even putting him in legal jeopardy? We have spent weeks mapping the timeline, pulling the court filings, analyzing the leaked documents, and speaking with legal and PR experts. The truth is a shocking tale of greed, hubris, and deception, and we are going to expose every last detail, starting with the brave few who tried to stop it from the inside. This firestorm didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a slow-burning fuse lit years ago inside the foundation's own headquarters. According to a series of internal documents leaked to Puck News on September 5, 2025, a small group of compliance officers and financial managers within the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, or LDF, had been sounding the alarm for years about a flood of questionable donations. One memo, dated June 17, 2022, and written by the foundation's then chief financial officer, is particularly damning. In it, the CFO explicitly warned the board of directors about significant seven-figure donations from unaudited foreign entities with opaque ownership structures and no discernible legitimate business activity. The memo, a copy of which was reviewed for the report, specifically flagged a series of transactions totaling over $15 million from three shell corporations registered in the British Virgin Islands, all of which were later traced back to the Malaysian financier Joe Low. The whistleblower's warning was stark and unambiguous, arguing that accepting these funds posed a catastrophic reputational and legal risk and made the LDF a potential accomplice to financial crimes. Per two sources who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter on condition of anonymity for a story published on September 12, 2025, that CFO was unceremoniously terminated just 1 month later. He was allegedly forced to sign a draconian non-disclosure agreement that included a multi-million-dollar penalty clause, effectively buying his silence in exchange for a hefty severance package. But this wasn't an isolated incident. The leaked documents reveal a clear pattern of suppression. At least 3 other employees who questioned the source of major donations between 2021 and 2023 were either systematically managed out of the organization, reassigned to powerless positions where they had no oversight, or simply fired under pretext. The pattern suggests this wasn't mere negligence or a case of being naive. It was a deliberate, top-down strategy to ignore the blaring red flags and to ruthlessly silence anyone who dared to get in the way of the incoming cash. This concerted effort created the perfect shield for what was really going on behind the green curtain of environmentalism. And what they were allegedly hiding is the single most explosive revelation in this entire scandal, the very core of the government's case. The federal investigation, according to a Department of Justice source cited by the Wall Street Journal in a bombshell report on October 10, 2025, hinges on the assertion that the LDF was used as a key node in the globe-spanning 1MDB money laundering scheme. For those who aren't familiar with the name, 1MDB was a Malaysian state development fund from which the fugitive financier Joe Low and his associates are accused of embezzling over $4.5 billion in a breathtakingly brazen act of public corruption. The DOJ alleges that a significant portion of that stolen money was funneled through a production company called Red Granite Pictures, which was co-founded by the stepson of the former Malaysian Prime Minister. That company, using illicit funds, then went on to finance numerous Hollywood blockbusters, including, in a twist of staggering irony, DiCaprio's own film, The Wolf of Wall Street. The scheme, prosecutors allege, then went a step further. To sanitize his image and gain access to the highest echelons of global power, Joe Low became a massive, high-profile donor to DiCaprio's foundation. He funneled millions of dollars of the stolen Malaysian funds directly into the charity's coffers, earning himself a seat on the host committee for their annual galas. He was photographed hobnobbing with DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Martin Scorsese, using his association with DiCaprio's unimpeachable brand as the ultimate form of reputational cover. In effect, stolen government funds were allegedly used to make a movie about financial fraud, and the profits and prestige from that project were then leveraged to create a charitable halo effect, which in turn attracted even more dirty money. Federal investigators are now reportedly treating the foundation not as a passive victim of a clever fraudster, but as an active, if perhaps unwitting, participant in a global money laundering operation. But even if you set aside the direct criminal ties for a moment, the foundation's internal practices and financial structure created the perfect fertile ground for this kind of abuse to flourish. A detailed forensic accounting analysis commissioned by Forbes and published online on October 12, 2025, examined the LDF's publicly available tax filings for the past 5 years. The report, authored by a team of veteran fraud examiners, found what it called a black box of financial transfers and a shocking lack of programmatic specificity. According to their findings, over 40% of the foundation's outgoing grants were sent to newly formed nonprofits with no public track record or to international organizations with Byzantine corporate structures that made it nearly impossible to trace where the money ultimately went. Millions were earmarked for incredibly vague purposes, with grant descriptions like global wellness initiatives, sustainability awareness projects, or ocean conservation efforts, with no further detail provided. A PR strategist commenting on the Forbes findings noted that this profound lack of transparency is a massive red flag in the nonprofit world. While not strictly illegal, it creates a system ripe for abuse. It allows donors to move money around the globe under the respectable veneer of charity, avoiding the scrutiny that would come with traditional banking. Whether it was through gross incompetence or by deliberate design, the LDF's leadership built a financial apparatus that was perfectly suited for moving massive sums of money with minimal oversight, making it an ideal partner for anyone looking to clean their reputation or their cash. Naturally, investigators are now focusing on another critical and uncomfortable question. How did Leonardo DiCaprio himself benefit from all of this? Beyond the obvious and invaluable boost to his public image, the foundation became a powerful tool for his personal and professional networking. The LDF's annual gala in Saint-Tropez wasn't just a fundraiser. It was one of the most exclusive and opulent events on the planet. It was a place where DiCaprio could play host to a curated list of billionaires, heads of state, tech titans, and influential power brokers, all gathering under the noble pretense of saving the planet. According to the federal subpoena, which was partially unsealed last week, investigators are requesting all communications, including emails, text messages, and calendar entries between DiCaprio and several high-profile donors, including the fugitive Joe Low. They are trying to determine if his charitable work was ever used to broker side deals, to secure financing for his film projects, or to advance his own business interests outside of the foundation. An entertainment lawyer interviewed by Variety suggested that the prosecution may try to argue that the foundation was, in essence, a reputation laundering service. Wealthy individuals with questionable histories could make a large donation, get their coveted photo with Leo, and instantly purchase a level of social and political credibility that money alone could not buy. For DiCaprio, This system cemented his status as not just another movie star, but a global power player, a position that investigators now allege was built on a foundation of corrupted and stolen funds. The fallout is no longer contained to just DiCaprio's inner circle. The federal investigation has sent a shockwave of panic through the highest levels of Hollywood. In the last 2 weeks alone, sources confirmed that federal subpoenas have been served to at least a dozen other A-list celebrities, studio heads, and prominent agents who were either major donors to the LDF or served on their honorary board. The FBI is reportedly trying to determine who knew what and whether others were aware of or willfully blind to the suspicious nature of the foundation's top benefactors. This widens the scope of the scandal from one man's charity to a systemic and deeply rooted issue within Hollywood philanthropy. It raises the uncomfortable question: how many other celebrity foundations operate with the same dangerous lack of oversight and transparency?
The case is quickly becoming a referendum on the entire culture of performative celebrity activism, where the allure of a star-studded gala can blind people to the dark and criminal origins of the money being raised. For many in Hollywood, their association with Leonardo DiCaprio was a badge of honor, a public declaration of their own virtue. Now, it's a potential legal liability that could drag their own names, careers, and carefully crafted public images directly into the mud, proving that when a scandal this big finally breaks, no one is safe from the shrapnel. So what we're witnessing isn't just another celebrity in trouble. It's the potential collapse of a global icon. The federal case against Leonardo DiCaprio's foundation is a perfect storm of alleged financial crime, willful blindness, and the cynical weaponization of a good cause. The very thing that made DiCaprio more than just an actor, his unwavering and passionate commitment to the environment, is now the exact thing that could undo him entirely, exposing a grim and corrupt reality behind the glittering facade of Hollywood altruism. The biggest and most chilling takeaway here is the terrifying realization that for some of the world's most powerful people, charity isn't about giving back. It's the ultimate tax-deductible tool for getting away with it. To see how this exact playbook of using influence and power to cover up dark secrets is a recurring pattern among the biggest stars in the industry, you need to watch our Fresh Celebrity playlist next.